Adrian Broner, world champion boxer, now streamer. He's showing his life out there. Alcoholic, womanizer, and lost all his money. How did he get to that? Assalamu alaikum and welcome. This is the only way up. And recently, Adrian Burma has been going viral on the socials. He's a loud mouth. He's drinking a lot. He's womanizing. He's talking about how he lost all the money that he gained through his boxing career. How did he end up like that? Is he a one off? And the general view would be, and even Adrian Burma mentioned that this is very common. Most of the boxers end up alcoholic. Many of the athletes, when you hear sports people talking on podcasts, they talk about how, you know, more than 50% of athletes end up losing all of their wealth. Is it bad financial management? Rather, it seems to be the part of a wider culture of when you're young, just give all your energy, all your might, all your thoughts onto having fun and going wild. Spend on your money on the biggest cars, the biggest holidays, the biggest outgoings, the biggest watches, the biggest parties, the biggest drinks bill. Spend all your women on womanizing. Spend all your money on womanizing from one woman to the second woman to the third woman, and spend all your money on alcohol, drugs, or some sort of vice. And the tragic situation that you can see with Adrian Broner is along that journey, one is broken him. When you look at him in the eyes, you can tell he's just not in a good place. But all he knows is what he's lived and what he's experienced. And the one thing that's I don't know if you can say keeping him going, but it's the alcohol. That's the vice that he's picked up on the way. That's the vice that he's relying on. And he's ended up in a doom loop where he can't get out. He's not happy. It's miserable. And the only thing he knows is alcohol, which feeds into more misery. So this, life that's portrayed as go in your 20s, in your 30s, non-stop fun, and then later on you can settle down. It's more like non-stop fun, and then it's just gonna break you. It's gonna kill you mentally, spiritually, intellectually, and you end up in a very, very bad mental health state, physical state, spiritual state, and you have no way forward, unfortunately. And it's a big warning for anyone who's young and growing up.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair, Shani. I think, we see on social media and, even on mainstream TV, this celebrity lifestyle is really promoted as like the optimum level of pleasure, security, your name's everywhere, you're recognized, and this is the life you want to live. If you achieve this, if you achieve stardom, you've made it. So whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in sports, in fact, you find with lots of sports stars now, they're more celebrities than they are athletes. So you find, they have a communications guy, they have a makeup team, they have a team that get them onto podcasts, that get them onto shows. In fact, many sportsmen seem to make more money outside of their sport than they do inside the sport itself. And for every success story, there's about 10 tragic stories of failure, of unable to deal with the pressure, of not thinking things through, of having people around you really who are really after your money rather than have your best interests at heart. And at the end of the day, whatever type of athlete you are, one day you're not going to be the best athlete. One day you're going to be past your prime. What's the plan then? This lifestyle doesn't last forever. And this is where you find, many athletes or many famous people talk about regret decisions they made, regret actions that they did. In fact, a number of celebrities actually have turned back and said, I would have been better off just getting married and settling down. Many of these people put off having families, put off having children, and in their old age, they've got more money than they know what to do, but they're lonely. That's why a lot of them get into depression, or a lot of them end up turning to alcohol. And it's shocking how alcohol is a solution for so many people when really you've got to keep in mind alcohol is just drugs or poison that's been legalized. That's really what it is. It's just a whole industry in itself. However, you look, these people who end up like this, they're victims. They're victims of a system that's promoted that, if you pursue this path and you put in the effort and you're dedicated, you will make it and you'll be happy. It is a source of happiness, and there's so many stories of people being unhappy, of achieving stardom, but they're still unhappy, because surely there's going to be more to life than immediate pleasure. So, for every six, and nobody wants to hear about the failure stories. People want to hear about the success stories. And that's why there's an assumption here, oh, everybody can make it. And you will get footballers who are from poverty backgrounds, grew up in council flats, and at the age of 18, they've got £1 million in their bank account because they've made it. Marcus Rashford is a good example. He grew up in poverty. All of these players, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford, many of these guys, they grew up with a lot of poverty. They grew up in very difficult circumstances, but they made it. And footballers, for some reason, now seem to spend a lot of time off the field. Or some footballers are actually more famous for their off the field antics than on the field. But look, many of these people, they're victims, and I think that's important. They're victims of a system that said this is what success is. It defines what success is. And really, what's the point of living if you can't become successful in this particular field? That is how it's sold to them. This is what life is. And none of that is true. And in fact, even once footballers retire or sportsmen retire, they realize they're not happy. They either didn't achieve what they wanted to achieve in their life, or even when they did achieve it, it doesn't actually bring their happiness. So what they're being sold is a dream, which actually isn't true in the end. And really, a lot of these discussions are really about purpose of life. Is life really just about pleasure? Is it really about famous? Does that even bring you happiness in the end? And as I mentioned, for every success story, there's another 10 stories of depression, unhappiness, failure, or really, really sad stories which we don't hear about. I think in the era we live in, because of podcasts and social media, this is personal content. People put content up. Prior to the internet, mainstream media, you've never heard of these stories. They want to tell you the good stories, how things are working. So I think this box set is a very good example of, this lifestyle doesn't really bring you happiness in the end. And actually, there's a lot of examples of this.
Yeah, and I think for many youth they may be thinking, okay, is this a shutdown on fun? Is this a shutdown on entertainment? And the answer is no, it's not a shutdown, but it's putting it in its right place. Those things are haram, obviously they're totally haram. But general amusement, general fun, uh, it has its place. Talking to friends and having a little joke is fine. Being with family, having fun days is fine. Um, but when that becomes the be all and end all and the goal from morning to night, from opening to your aspirations to that's why I'm earning, that's why I'm living, because I can't wait for the holidays and I can't wait to go here and I can't wait to do this, and that is what gives you your kick. Very quickly, it's going to fall apart. It's going to very, very quickly fall apart. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Ankabut, and this worldly life is not but diversion and amusement. And indeed, the home of the hereafter is the eternal life, if only they knew. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, it's going to divert you from really thinking, actually, what is life about? What will bring me real happiness? What will bring me calmness? What will bring me sukoon? What will bring me ease? What will bring me a level of contentness? And part of that equation has a small percentage of fun and entertainment, whereas the percentage that is given by the on online, on media and music videos, it has to be not 100%, it has to be 120%. And this will absolutely make you ignore and divert you from real issues that bring you contentness. Uh, you look at Adrian Broner and you look at some many of our brothers and sisters and mothers in Gaza, and the people in Gaza are more content and more calm than Adrian Broner is. They've lost their children. They've seen their children handed to them just limbs. They're looking for bodies, and they find them under rubble, deteriorated. They've lost their grandparents, lost their homes. They've lost their homes. They're living in tents with rats crawling everywhere. And but you see them, and many of them, the words that come out of their mouth, "Hasbillah wa ni'mal wakil." They are a lot more calm, content. Uh, than Adrian Burner is, with all the drink, with all the money that's coming with streaming, with all the fan base, with all the, eating out, everything. So really, it is a case of not being fooled by the glamour, the glitz, the shininess of all this material world, and looking at actually what brings deep happiness, deep contentness, deep satisfaction, deep calmness in a person's life. And I think this is an example of a person who's got it all, and right in front of your screen, is still not content and calm. Let us know what you think. Are we right? Are we wrong? Leave your comments and send us a message. Jazakallah khair for listening, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.